What's a -8 life like?
What it would be like is the only way I could see Rupa's face is if she were literally 1 inch in front of me. If I could, I would love to not have the fuzzy vision I have.
When did you first notice the kid's nearsightedness? You must have been pretty attuned to it. Because
Yes. Well, my oldest had been born with some issues because he had actually suffered a traumatic brain injury in utero. And the second one was already starting to show signs of it as well.
As a physician, when you were thinking about these treatments, because already you knew what life was like for you, you knew the risks, you didn't want that for your kids.
This is the one thing where if I could prevent it, I would prevent it.
This is what we need to be talking about.
It's so
Especially
important.
with all the screen time, and we're seeing nearsightedness
Going up, right?
Going up.
Ask your ophthalmologist or your optometrist, and if they say no, respectfully, go find someone who actually knows what they're doing. Just look up myopia control and do it. Because it's not a gimmick. It works. It's safe.
Welcome back to In Focus, the podcast that brings clarity to your family's eye health and your life. I'm Dr. Rupa Wong, and today we're diving into something that so many parents are just starting to understand: how to slow down the progression of nearsightedness in our kids. Joining me is someone who brings both medical insight and raw, real-life parenting perspective, Dr. Shieva Ghofrany. She's a board-certified OBGYN, mom of 3, and a high myope herself, clocking in at -8 diopters. So when it came to her children, she knew she wanted to do everything she could to protect their vision. In this episode, we talk about why myopia management isn't just a buzzword. It's a necessity for some families. What it's really like trying to get kids on board with treatments like low-dose atropine and orthokeratology, and how being a physician doesn't automatically make these decisions easier or these conversations. Whether you're a parent noticing your child's glasses, prescriptions creeping up, or just trying to figure out where to even start with all this episode will help you feel empowered and informed. So let's dive in. Thanks, Shieva, so much for coming.
I'm so excited.
This is going to be just such an easy conversation because you offer so much perspective, and we're going to tap not your medical perspective,
right,
a little bit your medical perspective,
yeah,
but more the parenting decisions that you had to make along the way because you started these treatment strategies really early.
A long time ago.
Okay, so first, I know you're a high myope yourself. So what was that kind of vision like growing up? Because that's really different than just being a -2 or a -3. Explain to people they might not understand, what's a -8 life like?
It is. I feel like every day I have to say to my husband, he'll look at me and he'll say, wait, are you wearing your contacts? And while I'm not, and I laugh. I said, if I were not wearing my contacts, I couldn't see you right now. So to anyone listening, what it would be like is the only way I could see Rupa's face is if she were literally 1 inch in front of me. Yeah, my watch has to be in front of me, which is very helpful now that I'm older to be able to pluck my eyebrows, things like that. But it's really hard. And actually, I never realized how insecure it makes you feel until recently, as I've gotten older. And I started wearing glasses when I was 8 years old, and I'm now 55, so I've had to go through the whole gamut of it. But I really felt like, what if something happens and I lose my contacts or my glasses? So now when I fly, I have to wear a little fanny pack because I want to make sure that if the plane crashes and I survive, I have contacts and glasses with me at all times. What if there's a supply chain issue and they can't get me my contacts and I've lost my glasses? I literally joke that I will not be on your zombie apocalypse team because I will be of no good use to you. Leave me by the side of the road.
You're done.
Yeah, so it's terrible.
I think the thing is, for those of us that don't wear glasses or aren't nearsighted, we don't really understand. My husband's also -6.5, and I just didn't get, you can't see the shampoo bottles in the, you don't know what's like shampoo and conditioner. I mean, I don't.
You would look like a very kind of like a light peachy fuzz.
Okay.
And then a burgundy fuzz and white fuzz because of those 3 colors. That's all I would see. So it really is a strange feeling. I mean, I can get around my room because I know where it is. But if you asked me to then go downstairs, go outside and get into the car, I could get there, but then I would not. There's literally no way you would be able to do anything else.
Now, so did your eye doctors tell you it's not just the glasses, like we're concerned about your eye health? Did they talk to you about, hey, you're a -8, so you're at a really increased risk of retinal detachments? That must have been a scary conversation.
Yes. I mean, yes and no. I come from a family of high myopes.
Okay,
and I've
so
seen a bunch
this.
of my cousins who've known it. And if I'm being really honest as a physician, I wasn't always as good about going to the eye doctor, and I would order my own contacts. But finally, because this is what everyone should be doing, I went and saw a retinal specialist who does a very thorough retinal exam, which, by the way, is to me worse than a pap smear. But now there's machines.
I disagree. But
now there are machines.
Yes.
He was doing the
But then when
old-fashioned
they
way.
press on your eyeball, when they're doing it, it is hard.
It's hard. But I recognize that it's really valuable. So yes, they did make that clear. And actually that was outside of, again, the anxiety and insecurity and just the cost of wearing contacts and glasses, which is a lot, as you know. It was that aspect. I kept saying to my children when I would fight with them at the beginning that I'm saving you from a lifetime of not being able to see and also potential risks.
Okay, and that's key. And that's what I try to tell parents too. It's not just needing the glasses or the contact lenses or being not useful during a zombie apocalypse. It is the fact that their vision is literally at risk. But when did you first notice the kids' nearsightedness? You must have been pretty attuned to it. Because
Well, my oldest had been born with some issues because he had actually suffered a traumatic brain injury in utero. And so he was signed up to see an ophthalmologist for his whole life. And so up until he was about somewhere between 10 and 12, we're not exactly sure of the dates because I'm a mother and a doctor and I forgot. He was wearing glasses and we recognized that neurologically his vision was never going to be perfect. And I said, he's gotten my vision, it's fine. And the second one was already starting to show signs of it as well, just by, and I don't understand eyes despite being an OBGYN, but measuring, they were able to detect.
That's what we do.
But our eye doctor, who's wonderful, Dr. Brian Campolatero in New York.
He's great.
He's so good. He immediately said, listen, we have this technology that apparently had been used in Asia for decades. Who knew? It was off-label in America at the time. He sent me to a specialist in Manhattan, an optometrist, not an ophthalmologist, who does all the measurements. And that's when we started it back when it was ortho-K, meaning only the hard lenses. We talked at the time about the choices of using hard lenses versus atropine, and I don't understand all the differences, but it seemed like the best results were going to be from ortho-K.
Okay, and tell people, when was this? Because this
was somewhere between 7 to 9 years ago. This was a while ago. And we would have to go from Connecticut into Manhattan. When I say we, it was me once and it was my husband all the other times because I was working. And we would fight with my then, again, if it was 7 to 9 years ago, he was 12 to 14 years old. We would fight because if anyone's ever worn hard lenses, and these were not those small hard lenses that just cover your pupil, right? It's a hard lens that looks like a soft lens that covers your entire iris. That, correct me if I'm wrong, changes the shape of the cornea.
So you sleep in those contact lenses, which it's not my favorite treatment now because we have the soft contact lenses, but 8-9 years ago, there were no soft contact lenses
and it was
available.
Miraculous. He would sleep with them. And at the time, I want to say he was between a -2 and a -3. He would sleep with them overnight. He would wake up, take them out, and then he could see with nothing through the day. Which was, to me, a fascinating idea. I could not believe.
It literally changes the shape of the cornea, the clear dome shape covering the eye. But it requires a lot of parental involvement, which is what
I have to tell you. As a mother who's a physician, there's a lot of hands-off approaches that I purposely, intentionally take, partially because I don't have the time and partially because I think it's better. Our kids should be independent and resilient, and I've let them make certain decisions that I might not agree with, but okay, these are your choices. Things like their clothing. This was something where, I mean, if anyone listened to our household, they would for sure think that there's something wrong because we would both be screaming at each other, crying. Like he would be crying, I would be swearing because these hard lenses are hard to put in. They're tricky to put in. You have to use the plunger to get out. We lost the plunger. Where was the plunger? And it took, I would say, a good couple of months to really get into the groove. But it was the one thing where I said, no matter what we do, this is the one thing I am not letting you let go. Because he would say, it doesn't matter, I'll wear glasses.
It's not just.
And I wouldn't let him because I knew that if he got to my stage and I could prevent it, for sure I want to prevent it. So now we're at the point where thankfully all three of them are now in it, but they all three had to do the hard ones.
They did the hard ones first.
And now they're in the soft, and now he's actually in just atropine eye drops with regular lenses. And the truth is, the frustrating parts for us were it was hard to go into the city all the time. It was very expensive, but I kept saying, I'm going to calculate the amount of glasses and contact lenses I'm going to be saving, which I guess, and you can tell us more about these details, I think it's important to manage expectations, right? It doesn't mean your kids are never going to have to wear anything. It's that they're not going to get as bad as a -8. And that's the part where, as a mother and as a high myope, I really want to highlight this point to the parents. I think it's easy if you wear a -2 to be like, well, what's the difference? -2, -8? It is such a massive difference that it's like, of all the things I've been through medically, which is a lot, this is the one thing where if I could prevent it, I would prevent it. And I say that, and I've gone through a lot.
And you've gone through a lot because I know your journey and all the different surgeries you've had.
And this is the one thing that we can prevent. All the other things I've been through, I probably can't prevent.
You can't prevent.
But this I can. I feel like it's a no-brainer, even if it's hard, even if it actually costs time and money for patients. I would so strongly encourage it. And not enough people know about it.
That's the thing. That was the other thing that you and I were talking about earlier, is that you didn't initially know about these
I
treatments.
knew nothing about it. And by the way, I have now since told pediatricians,
Yes.
ophthalmologists, millions
agreed.
of mothers.
Yes.
And so I do think somehow the PR campaign has
Needs
not
to be
gotten out
better.
there enough.
It needs to be better.
Yeah, what is going on with that? Why?
So it's so interesting because I think that for some reason, it's not a sexy topic, nearsightedness. They don't want to discuss it. It's like, this is what we need to be talking about.
It's so
especially
important.
with all the screen time, and we're seeing nearsightedness
Going up, right?
Going up. We need to be talking. If we've got a preventative strategy for it,
Okay,
we can
well,
slow the worsening down.
I think the companies need to hire you and I, and we need to go out on
yes,
the
let's
road.
just do it. We're going to do a little tour. We'll do
Yeah.
a nationwide tour.
Because the moms who know, especially because there's such a high likelihood of familial inheritance,
Absolutely.
right? I think the people who have vision like me, easy sell.
It's
No big
easy
deal.
sell, and they've already researched things.
Yeah.
So they've heard of the orthokeratology. They've heard of the MySight contact lenses, the soft peripheral defocus ones. Which
Well,
you
some
didn't
of them
have.
I think have. I have to tell you, I meet a lot of people. Like whenever I see someone who's wearing glasses, I'm like, "What's your prescription? Tell me about it." Because I'm like the nosy yenta, but I feel like I have to let them know because had I not had that particular ophthalmologist, I don't think he would have sent me to the first optometrist I went to. So I don't know that even the high myopes really know about it. I bet there's some listening. They should write to you and tell
They should,
you.
right?
Yeah.
Yes, because they should know about it.
Yes.
And all of them, if they could go back 20 years and be a -3. So, okay, where are your children now in terms
They're
of their
each at
nearsightedness?
about, and again, I sound terrible and I don't know the details, but permission to all your moms, don't know the details. So my oldest is actually at about a -4.
But that's amazing.
It's still
that
much better than -8.
He was a -3 to start,
Yeah.
-2, -3,
Yeah,
and now
he's
only
stuck
went
at
up a
four.
diopter.
And he also, again, has other neurological issues
Right.
affecting his vision. And I was already at an 8 by age 21.
Yes. And he's 21 now.
And he's 21 now.
Okay.
And then the 17 and 14-year-old are at about a -2-ish. Yeah.
And I can tell
Which is
you,
fine.
the risk, if you are under a -3, very minimal risk.
Good.
If you're a -3 to a -6, still, I mean, half the risk that you are, unfortunately, that you are.
Right.
Much less risk of all those scary retinal detachments, cataracts, glaucoma, all of that.
Well,
So-
and also, can you tell everyone, including me, because I think this is what I've always joked, that whenever I see doctors who have vision like mine, who are eye doctors, none of them have gotten LASIK. So,
Yes.
So because that's the other point, that a
Yeah.
lot of moms are like, well, they can just get LASIK
no,
later. But like I at -8, I really shouldn't get LASIK, is what I've been told.
It is FDA approved all the way up to a -12. But caveat, you have to shave the cornea. That's what LASIK is. You're
Right.
shaving the cornea to be able to focus the light onto the retina. And if you're at a -8, the higher the number is, more cornea you've got to shave. And you need to have some healthy cornea left at
Right.
the end to be able to see and function and have a cornea. So past a certain point, you don't get LASIK because it's just not safe to
Right.
have. And that's the other thing is, it doesn't mean that you're no longer nearsighted. You still have an elongated eyeball. You are still at risk for all the, even let's say you got LASIK. You'd
Oh,
still
you're
be
still at risk.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
That's the thing. So many people come, they get LASIK and they think, I'm cured. I don't have LASIK.
Right.
I don't have nearsightedness anymore. I don't need to go see the eye doctor. Wrong. They need to actually still be coming in for that
Yes.
awful dilated exam,
Yeah.
which you hate, which everybody hates, to check the retina because it can still break. It can still have tears. It can still have detachments.
Right.
Even if you've had LASIK because your retina's still thin.
Now, what if someone gets frozen at a -2 through the new technology?
Yep.
Then they still could get LASIK in the future if they
Absolutely.
needed
So
to.
they're a much better candidate for LASIK.
Right.
They've got much more options for themselves. Plus, just existing in life as a -2.
Oh,
So much
Let me
easier.
tell you, not only is it easier, but listen, the pure cosmetics of it. And like I said, I mean, in 1978, I started wearing glasses, which PS for anyone listening, if you were old enough to hear it, they were not cute.
They did
back
not
then.
have those
There was
thinned out
nothing cute.
lenses back
Not
then.
only
They
were the
wasn't
lenses
as-
back then, the frames were horrible. Then at 12, I wore contact lenses at age 12, and you had to like clean them with 3 different solutions and
Yes.
cook them, and they
yes.
were like so expensive. I mean, everything about it. Now everything is so much better, but the truth is, even if I buy really cute frames, I will look like I have the beadiest little eyes. Even with the thin lenses, I will never look cute in glasses. So there's so many reasons. There's so many reasons I want all the parents out there to know about it. Really.
Okay, so as a physician, when you were thinking about these treatments, because already you knew what life was like for you, you knew the risks, you didn't want that for your kids. It's the same reason I started my kids, even though I'm not nearsighted, but my husband is, on the same kind of treatments, on the
Yes.
eye drops, the low dose atropine. Did you have any misconceptions going in?
I mean, I will say this: as much as in general, I tend to be really compulsive about medical issues that I understand well. The eyes are a conundrum. Like, I don't feel like I spent any time on eyes when I was in medical school.
Most people don't.
So I'll be really honest that when I went to Dr. Cooper, who was the optometrist in New York City, who I initially went to, and at the time we didn't have the soft lenses, so again, it was hard lenses or drops, and it felt like from what he was saying, the data on the drops was just not as robust.
Newer. It was, they started in 2004 in Asia. That's when the published studies. I started using them in my practice in 2014, so about 10 years ago, but we have a very Asian population, so it kind of in Hawaii it mimicked where the data was coming out of, so I felt really comfortable.
And you were having just as good data with the drops as the lenses.
So I wasn't using orthokeratology, so it's not something a lot of ophthalmologists love, just because it's difficult. We don't like to tell kids to sleep in the contact lenses, all the headaches, but as you show, it works. I mean,
and listen, the truth is this: at the time, had he said the drops will work just as well, to me, no brainer. Like, drops are so much easier. It just felt that his data seemed to show, and so that's why we went with Ortho K. And the minute we could switch to the soft, we did. But I think, if my understanding is correct, is that right now the data really seems to show equivalence between all three.
Yes, between all three.
So why would anyone pick the lenses over the drops?
Some people, especially like in Hawaii, if they're doing a lot of water sports, you're not supposed to wear soft contact lenses. You're not supposed to wear any contact lenses when you're doing water sports.
Right. So that's what I mean. Yeah. Why would you ever pick the lenses over the drops? So the drops seem so much easier.
They're so much
less
easier.
Expensive.
Yes. And you do. I think it's just remembering to put them in at nighttime. I'm not really sure.
And the data really is that it really is as equivalent.
There were a few studies that came out just in the last couple of years here in the U.S. that said, it looks like the low-dose atropine doesn't work. But in reality, they used a formulation that I think just wasn't effective. All three studies that showed no effect used the same formulation. It was a low-dose atropine drop that was going through the FDA, did not get approved, and that company folded. I hate to say it. But the newer formulations, when you use the formulation from the compounding pharmacy, I mean, for my 3 kids, works. For my patients, it works. So
if right now, is there an opportunity for me to switch from soft lenses to drops for my 2 out of 3 kids?
So it's this fall. It's coming out in FDA. So it should, fingers crossed, get FDA approval.
Okay.
And so then it's going to be available. So you don't have to refrigerate the drop anymore.
Yes.
You don't have to get it from the pharmacy once a month. You can use it for months and months at a time. So it'll be a lot easier. I think that's one thing a lot of parents forget to, me included, forget to put it in at night because it's in the refrigerator and the kids are working on their schoolwork, and it can blur their vision a little bit right in the beginning. That's why you use it at the end of the night.
Right.
So that'll be a real game changer once there's an FDA-approved version.
Okay, good.
But what was the pushback you got from the kids? You talked about the orthokeratology. Has there been pushback with the eye drops for them? Well, I get a little pushback.
They're only using the lenses now.
The lenses now, okay.
The oldest is using regular corrective lenses and eye drops. The pushback on his case is that he's 21 and he just forgets.
Forgets, okay. But he doesn't complain about the eye drops or anything.
He does not complain about the eye drops. The younger two, the pushback on the Ortho K was really aggressive again, because at the time those hard lenses they just hurt and they were a pain, and we would travel and there was some issue with the solution that you have to use, and could it explode when you're flying? Like, do you remember that controversy? I mean, there's some weird controversy. Oh my God. So that was really challenging. Now that it's soft lenses, I mean, listen, they're all annoyed they have to wear lenses, and they constantly remind me that I am the one that they inherited this from, and I remind them of their lashes that they also inherited from me.
Their intelligence and their beauty and all of that, of course.
A little bit of it. But yeah, I mean, the honest answer is, listen, I think mothering takes so many forms. There are a lot of things I give my children, like I said, their own agency over. This was something that I am immutable about, and so I think they just accept it at this point. Doesn't mean they didn't complain. They did. But they accepted that this is a fact. You will do this no matter what, because this is important enough, and I care about you enough, and you should be grateful, and one day you will be grateful. And actually, this is something that high myopes can do. Put your glasses on your children.
Oh, that's smart.
Because I don't know that it exactly mimics it. I can't tell. But it definitely makes their vision so blurry that it gives them a little mimic of, I've made them wear mine. And I say to them, this is what I think I'm seeing.
You know what? I should do that. Not as a scare tactic in the office, but as a reality. We have the lenses.
Yeah.
And what I do is I'll print a little growth chart curve. I can measure the length of the eye and say, all right, when I'm talking to parents, your child is at a -1 right now. They're 6 years old. This means, and it predicts what they're going to be at 18. That means they're going to be a -9 based on their race, their gender. But there's all these curves for that. I should stick a -9 diopter lens in front of them so they know, listen, if you don't use these eye drops, if you don't use these soft contact lenses, this is what life's going to look like. And we can keep you kind of close to what you are right now.
No, it really makes a difference. My best friend, who is God bless her, 13 years, 12 years younger than me. The first time she saw me in my glasses, because very few people see me in my glasses. Lately, I've been a little more bold, and I like occasionally I will like go on, because it's literally from my sink to my bed. That's it. Twice, morning, night. She saw me in my glasses for the first time after we had been so close for maybe 6 or 8 years, and she started crying. Oh my God. And she said, oh my gosh, it just makes you look so vulnerable. And it's true. I know it sounds so funny, but people take their vision so for granted. Even I do. Listen, I say all the time, I can see. But now that I start to think about those times, like, what if I forgot my glasses? What if my contact lenses? What if I packed my lenses? All these different permutations. Like, I sound funny, but I'm begging all those parents out there, please do this for your kids. I mean, the company should pay me.
They should pay you.
But it really is. It is so impactful. I can't express it enough.
And that's the other thing, because there's a chance, it's 1 in 4, that a parent like me will have a kid that's nearsighted. I don't truly know what it's like to live life. Now that I'm 49 and need reading glasses, I get like, oh, that is a pain.
Yeah.
I can't see up close, but I can't imagine what it was like to not be able to see for so much of your life. And I think that it's hard for us to really understand what life would be like for the kids. I mean, we can get it on this real intellectual level.
Right. But you can't. I mean, I don't know what would have been different had I been able to see. The other thing I think is really important to talk about, since you and I are both clinicians, is I think a lot of clinicians don't know about it. And as I say, for example, in the menopause space, I don't blame the clinicians who don't know about it because they don't have time to learn, but they should refer out. So if you hear us talking right now, you go to your optometrist or ophthalmologist and they haven't heard about it, my advice would never be to say, like, they're terrible, leave them. But I would push back a little bit, or at least find, I'm sure there must be a directory where you can find specialists.
There's definitely one for the MySight contact lens. They have a database of people, but not for low-dose atropine, because it's off-label in the U.S. And so it's just kind of finding these clinicians. So
you just have to find someone that does myopia control,
Myopia control.
I'm sure those people are hopefully smart enough to have put that on their website.
Yes, I think that. So you should be able to search it. And there are Facebook groups. There are these Facebook groups of parents of myopic children where they are talking all about, hey, we're getting our kids outdoors. What are you trying to do to get your kids? Because now we know the data shows being outdoors 2 hours a day is so helpful at making sure that nearsightedness also doesn't progress. So then they're exchanging information. They've actually made their own database, these closed Facebook groups of parents. So it's getting out there, but not as quickly as one would think, given how much the nearsightedness is rising in this country. I mean, think about
the technology.
And the
to me, it's so fascinating, and it's here. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it's out here, that you can use an eye drop that's specially mixed and just stabilize that nearsightedness.
Yeah.
It's like it's pretty remarkable. And
it is.
The fact is that drop, it's actually been around for 100 years. Did you know I was doing this lecture and I just thought it was so fascinating. I found this article from like 1932 in pediatrics, and they talk about, they called it short-sightedness. For short-sightedness in kids, low-dose atropine. They didn't say low dose. They said atropine drops administered daily.
Interesting.
So it's been around.
I know we had
used
it on my oldest son when he was young because he had strabismus, and I think that's where a lot of moms might have heard of it.
Yes.
And I think it might be different doses. I don't know.
No, it is. Yes, but still, interesting. So the younger two were never on the drops,
they
but
never
just on the But the contact lenses, the soft lenses, feel just like regular
totally fine.
lenses.
To me, my view is any of those two options seems great. I can see that there are pros and cons to each of them. So I think that the biggest message I would say is, if you ask your ophthalmologist or your optometrist and they say no, I would push back and ask them why, because most of the time I think they just don't know about it, right? I mean, I'll walk around and see kids with glasses and I'm like, hey, to their moms. So have you talked to the optometrist? And they're like, no, never said anything. And again, I think it's just that they don't know.
Here's the thing. Sometimes they don't know. Sometimes, for whatever reason, they don't do the research. They don't read the research. They don't believe the research. I've gotten second opinions to me where they say, oh, this doctor said this exists, but she said it doesn't really work. And we found you online and we wanted to really understand if it does or it doesn't.
That's so frustrating.
And the thing is, because it's preventative. So once they reach, when did you start the contact lenses on your kids?
So my 21-year-old was, again, somewhere between 12 and 14. I don't remember. And then the other two within about a year or so. And they're 17 and 14 now. So I can't do the math. But it's been in the last, again, 7 to 9 years.
Okay, so like they were 9 to 10?
The soft became...
The soft became available 2000. 2000?
No.
No.
We're in 2020.
I mean, oh my God, 20.
I'm like, wow,
that
I'm
would
really
have been
behind the eight ball.
it was 2020. I think that the softs. No,
Okay, and so that was 5 years ago. So yeah, probably 5. They did the hard ones first and then the soft.
And then they did the softs.
Yes.
And no problems with that.
No.
And there are actually also glasses too. Now, again, not available in this country.
Yeah.
Asia, Canada, Europe, that do the same thing as the soft lenses.
Interesting.
Special glasses. So
Like
not
like prisms?
No, what they have is these little lenslets. It's really fascinating. So rather than just like the glasses that you had that's just one single vision, they have this rings. You can have little rings of different powers. So they focus the light better on the curve of your retina. So they slow the worsening down too.
Fascinating.
So
Fascinating.
There are options. So I actually will send patients, I don't know if I'm going to say, like to Canada to go get some glasses that will help be able to do this. I mean, did you feel, now I also come across a lot of parents, and I want to know from a parent perspective, because you've done the drops now for your older son, were you worried about using this treatment that wasn't FDA approved? I know it's should be FDA approved, but were you worried about just doing something daily,
No, I mean, in my case, it was easier again that he had already used atropine when he was young.
Right.
As I'm a physician, I know, by the way, and let's say this to the audience at large, while I love the FDA to a degree, and I do like to stick with mostly FDA approved things, when we say it's not FDA approved, it's an FDA approved medication that's not indicated for this, right? So,
exactly.
So another, and we do that every single day,
Yes.
meaning, and I want every person out there in the audience to know, every single day, you and your doctors are using things that are FDA approved, quote unquote, but you're using them off label.
Yes.
So in that way, to me, it was fine. I mean, my biggest concern right now is, frankly, I just don't think that he is compliant with doing them every day.
When they're that age, it's like, my 16-year-old also, I'd say probably twice a week, to be quite honest.
So I don't know if so that's a question is at 21, and maybe that's where you can explain, why do we stop at somewhere between 20 and 22 is what I was told, right?
Yes. So, and some people will stop around 16, 17, but if they're still seeing progression, and the reason is just our life right now, we're still like most kids are in college, most kids go to grad school. All that near work is still driving that nearsightedness up. So we used to see stabilization earlier, like in late teens, but now I see 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds getting worse in college than they were. So I sent my family members that are on low-dose atropine, they took their bottle with them to college too, because at least if they're using it once or twice a week, there was one study that showed it's actually helpful. So even if he's not using it all the time, it's still a benefit.
I'm going to tell him. Well, I'm going to tell him 5 days a week, and then he'll probably hit twice.
And then he'll hit it twice, and then that's good. That's really good. I mean, the thing is, you have done so much by making that a non-negotiable for them. And I know there's life. Like, your family is so busy. How did you just make that happen?
I mean, honestly, I really do think, again, we could talk about mothering in 10 different episodes. I think that because to a degree I've given my children enough agency in many other things, that this one, when I was so clear that this is not a discussion, no matter what you say, there will be zero argument that you'll be able to convince me to not do this. They accepted it. And I think we can only do that through like some level of bargaining, right? Like, they know that other ways I don't like something they might have done, but I'll let them do it because I recognize it's not harmful. Yes. And so I think they truly understood that, like, there's no point in arguing with mom about this one. And I know that when they get older, they're going to appreciate it. I do.
100%.
Not about everything I've done, but this
they will totally appreciate it. They might not appreciate it now, but they will totally appreciate it. Shieva, this has been so wonderful for you to share this perspective for, just your life living as a high myope, how that influenced your choices for your children. Are there last words of advice that you have for parents?
I mean, again, I never want to have people go against their clinicians, but I think listen, talk about it, ask your ophthalmologist or your optometrist, and if they say no, respectively, go find someone who actually knows what they're doing. Just look up myopia control and do it, because it's not a gimmick. It works. It's safe. It's again, I would love if I could, I would love to not have the fuzzy vision I have, for sure.
That's amazing, and that's the reason we just need to educate and continue educating, because if they don't know about it, at least listen, find someone that does, and feel empowered to do so, and that this is important. It's one of those things that you can't reverse anything. Right. You can't reverse the changes that happen. So actually, the younger that you start, the better.
Yeah. So it's amazing. This is true technology. This is what medicine is best at. Right? Yeah.
Yes. I love it. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was such a pleasure. Tell me where tell people where they can find you.
Well, if they want to hear about OBGYN
Yes,
health,
not about
this is
this,
a
but
totally
you are
different
so
podcast.
known in that space,
Thank
and you
you.
offer. I mean, I think if they are interested in this, they will be interested in just hearing from you
for
in
the
general.
moms
Yes.
or the women out there, or anyone, I'm mostly on Instagram, Dr. Shieva G, so DrShievag, which is fun that it has badge in the name.
Yes.
And same thing with my website, drshievag.com.
I love it. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me on In Focus. If you found today's episode helpful, I'd love for you to share it with a friend, leave a review, or hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. For more tips on eye health, parenting, and staying focused in a busy world, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Rupa Wong or head to drrupawong.com. Until next time, keep your vision clear, your priorities focused, and your family thriving.